Hi, welcome to DG360. I hope you're here live with me, and if you aren't, don't worry. We're putting this on YouTube. Say hi, everybody. Hi there. Push the phallic symbol over there. Everybody loves phallic symbols. Push that. Push all the buttons. Ravish the buttons. Could you ravish them? Ravish all of my buttons. And what we want to do here is we want to talk about this. We did not get to talk about it last week. LevelCap Gaming is going to be talking about the letter from the chairman, Chris Roberts, the CEO of Cloud Imperium, the mind behind Star Citizen. And LevelCap has not been with this project for very long. He's a newcomer, and but he's been a content creator for a very long time. Guy's got over 1 million subscribers, right? So let's check out what he thinks, because when I see this title, Reality Caught Up with Star Citizen, it makes me think like, all right, let's check out what this man has to say.
Chris Roberts, the head of Cloud Imperium Games and Star Citizen's father, released a letter from the chairman blog post yesterday, hyping up 2023 content for the game and providing impressive stats on player-based growth.
I don't like when he says Star Citizen's father and player-based growth. It makes me think of Chris Roberts having sex and birthing Star Citizen, like literally birthing it. It's really vivid. He's a wordsmith. He's a wordsmith.
The post was also capped off with a quick mention of yet another delayed release date for one of the game's longest teased updates. Let's get into the meat of it. Now, for the first part of the blog post, Chris spent some time talking about the new persistent entity streaming tech, which is Star Citizen's latest 3.18 upgrade, which is still being tested in the PTU. I did make a dedicated video on this new PTU build, but if you haven't seen it yet, in a nutshell, persistent entity streaming allows for all objects, spaceships, and dead bodies to persist in the Star Citizen universe more or less indefinitely, creating all kinds of new gameplay opportunities, and well, piles of trash. Chris also reiterated a cool statement saying, "I'm not aware of any other large-scale MMO that has tried to deliver this level of persistence."
There is none.
And I would back that up and say, not only have I never seen any other game attempt this at this scale, but nothing has even come remotely close to it. Chris then gets into...
Which is why they're breaking revenue. Like, why can't people get that through their head? As much as they bitch about the game, it's why the game is bringing in record amount of money. Record amount of money. That's the very reason why. But they haven't delivered it to us yet. And that's like the biggest gripe with everybody. Where is it? They're developing it, motherfuckers. I mean, like, it's going to take a long time, man.
To some really impressive stats regarding the game's growth, and I have to say it is crazy impressive and super...
It's absolutely impressive they want to do that. They still have to do it. But the point is that I'm trying to make is it's going to take how long it's going to take. Like, this drives me insane because it's something that's been the original problem from the very beginning. Most people knew this years ago. Most people knew this was going to be a huge roadblock years ago, but everybody's making such a stink of it now because they're fucking not patient anymore, and they can't handle it because they don't have their big boy pants on. They can't handle the criticisms that I'm giving them, which is that this is game development, and it's going to take a long time to do this because they're trying to do things that haven't been done before in gaming. So when I hear people get upset about these issues, it's like, guys, this hasn't been done before in gaming. I mean, can we please pull our collective IQs together to understand this concept? Like, really
encouraging for
it's
fans.
Gonna take a long
there was
time.
Over 1 million unique logins.
If you get upset about it, right? Maybe play another game and not make a video to get those clickety clacks. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's okay to voice it up once, but to make every video like a harsh criticism of like saying the very obvious things that everybody knows is like a click fest. It's a clickbait fest. Like, it's just a clickbait fest. If you have a huge issue with it, make a very well-defined video that's like an hour fucking long talking about it, and then just be done with it and play another game. Be a gamer. Don't be don't surf around and then land on a channel that's continually pushing out the same message over and over again. You want to have rational discussion about game development, or do you want to just keep clicking on like hater bait? Now, I'm not saying LevelCap's doing that. Right? I'm just saying I see a lot of content creators out there pushing the same narrative over and over again. And it's like, I'm like, yeah, It's going to take a long time for this to happen. The aspirations and what it is that they're trying to shoot for is not been done in gaming ever. It's not been done. Like hello.
To the game servers in 2022 with over 46 million hours played. There were 800,000 new accounts created this year. Their daily active user count has grown 50% from the previous year, averaging 240,000.
And I'm going to actually applause LevelCap because he brought a lot of people to the game. I'm going to say the three biggest content creators that I thought brought in tons of people into Star Citizen: LevelCap, Ali, and Jack Frags. Those 3 YouTubers with their millions of subscribers, I got to applaud them. Just those 3 YouTubers brought in so many players to the game. And you know who brought in more players than all 3 YouTube content creators? Those YouTube content creators I just suggested? Elite Dangerous. It's okay.
Monthly active users with highs of 400,000 players. The game also blew past its previously highest earning year, bringing in over $100 million, most of which, according to the blog, is coming from new players, which I think is really interesting, and it gives perspective in that the game isn't just pulling in tons of cash from veteran fanboys trying to keep the project alive, but that most of the money coming in is from people just getting into the game for the first time. Also, the conversion rate for people trying the game for free and then deciding to buy it is at 70%, which is crazy impressive. This is a huge stat and really speaks to the fact that Star Citizen has been packing on a lot of fun content. I am honestly surprised by this metric because the learning curve in Star Citizen is pretty rough, but it probably means that most players see from the start that there's actually a real universe worth exploring. And
it's the realism. It's the realism. The learning curve is difficult. It should always remain difficult. That's the design of it. That's the plan of it. It sucks you in by getting to know what it is that you need to do in the game, whatever you choose, whatever occupation, whatever it is that you want to do in the game, there's layers to it. And that is really, I think, the best type of game design that there is. It sucks you in, and every mechanic that is put in that game, in terms of salvaging, in terms of mining, in terms of trading, they're all starting at baby phases. They're all starting at 0 baby phases, and each one's progressing at different levels. Like salvage is baby phase, right? Mining is toddler phase. You know, miners actually, I would say maybe teenage phase for mining. So there's all these different stages of development for these different mechanics, right? But they all suck you in because there's layers to it. Now, some of them don't have the layers yet. You know, some of them aren't even in the game yet, right? But each type of game loop or game mechanic that there are in Star Citizen, it draws you in and it makes you want to learn more about the profession that it is that you're pursuing.
And that they managed to push through the buggy or unintuitive learning experience. Now, of course, along with the stats.
By the way, I want everybody to understand, I am so for getting rid of concept ship sales. I want the ships to be done and then sold. I think that should be the model moving forward. I think that no ships should be put on sale until the ship is absolutely finished and done. And I've said that on numerous occasions in terms of Tripow's comment where he says, what about the JPEG phase, right? The JPEG phase should be no peg phase. Well, that's, and I don't mean sexual, but I do actually refer to it that. But I'll try anything once.
Especially about the cash flow, Chris was quick to mention that all of this money coming in goes right back into the game. They moved into 2 new studios in 2022 and have been hiring like crazy. CIG ended the year with 861 employees, which is pretty nuts and probably very much needed to develop 2 games and the crazy tech that they run on. This whole section overall is super encouraging to me. There was, after all, long periods of this game's development where people had to realistically consider that CIG could easily run out of money before the game was finished. But given the new metrics, especially how strong it's been in the previous years, it seems less and less likely. Now, Chris goes on to mention the...
Listen, I have made this a thing personally for me that I'm not buying any more concept ships, and I'd like to applaud myself because I'm making a decision with my wallet. And that is how you get change to happen, with that cheddar, with that money, with that cash, right? So I feel like I'm contributing to helping that become a reality. And I actually would say it to others that feel the same way as I do, don't buy the concept ships, Like once they see a drop in numbers on concept ship sales, what do you think they're going to do? They'll change the model.
Bar Citizen Dev Fan meetups, and that 2023 will be having its CitizenCon as an in-person event once again now that COVID restrictions are easing up. There's a bit more info about their new studios and that they're going to be doing studio tours and stuff like that. Then he also reiterated on what the latest...
I'm shaming Tony Z. I can't believe I'm doing this. This is something I never thought I'd do, but I'm shaming Tony Z right now. Hold on. Pepe, put it on there.
Shame. Shame. Shame.
He better be working, right? Like, where's Tony Z? Where's information on trade? Where's that at? Shaming him again. What's up? Welcome back, Minxie. We're shaming the developers right now. We're shaming one of the developers. That shame is for you, Tony. And it breaks my heart. It breaks my literal heart to have to shame Tony Z. Like, who am I? I'm a gamer. And I want to know what's going on with trading. I need some more information. What the hell's going on with quantum? What the hell's going on with this perfectly constructed AI system that's supposed to replicate trade? Where is that at? What's going on?
Latest 3.18 patch is bringing into the game. And then finally, we get to the road to Alpha 4.0. Now, the 4.0 update is supposed to bring us the Holy Grail Star Citizen tech that, once implemented, will open up the universe to multiple systems, improve performance, and increase the server population massively. Of course, to get that done, they have to first iron out the remaining bugs in patch 3.18 and get that to the live servers, which he states is planned to happen in January. I think that sounds pretty reasonable given the state of Wave 1 PTU, but then again, trying to anticipate major blockers is always a crapshoot. They then want to add some additional quality of life features to 3.18, such as the ability to pick your server shard and even queue for the shard that you want to play on. This is actually pretty important because the persistence tech allows you to do stuff like create hidden stockpiles of loot on some planet or somewhere in the verse, or even come back and find your old shipwreck from a previous life and reclaim some of your lost gear. The catch is that if you want to do these things and see those items again, you need to relog into the same shard you were on before, so getting the ability to do that actually means a lot. This of course won't be as important once server meshing is in the game and players will be able to play on the same shard most of the time, but
people should be able to play on the same shard regardless. That's the whole point of dynamic server meshing, and this is a temporary step to get back to a shard that will give you the items that you actually put in there, that has the player, that has the persistence, right? So when people hear this, a lot of people get confused and they say, well, wait a second. I thought that the game was supposed to be one giant shard all meshed together with different servers, so that everything's the same experience. Yes, but this is like a temporary step on the way to that. So I saw a lot of discussion on Spectrum where people were getting upset about this, and I thought to myself, it's just people that don't really understand game development.
But it is a good short-term feature that'll allow for full testing of persistence tech. After they get this stuff in, well, the devs are basically on a tech march towards 4.0, with one of the first major tech steps being the separating of the replication layer from the game server. There's some interesting details about this in the post, but a cool takeaway is the allegedly improved stability around server crashes, allowing for potentially seamless transitions from a crashing server to a new one. It sounds pretty cool, and this will essentially come with the full upgrade to true server meshing, allowing the current universe to be divided up into multiple servers to reduce load and improve performance. Chris then says, at this point we should be able to handle tens of thousands of players all playing in the same persistent.
They should be able to, because they'll be able to afford a better AWS plan. That's kind of where we're at. They just upgraded their Amazon Web Services plan recently, actually, and I don't know what plan they went into. We kind of did a little dive onto this. We didn't go too deep on it, but we realized that they did.
Shard. Now, this is a pretty massive statement, especially considering that they're aiming to bring that potentially in 2023. That would be basically increasing the server size from 100 players to, well, tens of thousands of players. Assuming Chris isn't just making up numbers here, since tens of thousands is a pretty vague ballpark. Even 10,000 players would be a server size increase of 100-fold of what we currently have. Something tells me that they may have to start increasing the number of hangars and landing bays at the major landing zones around the system. While 10,000 players might work well when spread across, say, 20 different systems, well, we're only going to have 2 systems when this tech comes, so it might get a bit crowded. Now here's where the real gut punch of the blog post comes in. Tactically inserted toward the end, and I quote, "We are aiming to put static server meshing and pyro into the hands of players in the 4th quarter."
That's not going to happen, by the way. I'm not being a negative person. I'm just being a realist. It's probably not happening in the 4th quarter of 2023, everybody. It's probably going to be well into 2024, just to give you guys a heads up on what's actually happening. I mean, I've talked to a couple of the devs from Cloud Imperium, and they say it's going to be rough. They say it's going to be rough.
Quarter of 2023. Now, for anyone who's been following the game and perhaps drooled over the previous letter from the chairman back in May of 2022, about 7 months back, that is,
Luigi, I love your comment, bro. That's funny. That's funny. That's funny.
Chris said,
"Thank you,
this.
Luigi.
Our current goal is to introduce server meshing in 4.0 as an early technical preview to Evocati testers in the PTU at the end of Q4 this year. That would mean pyro and server meshing, well, basically now, at least for early testers. This was the estimate given by Chris about 7 months back, and now it's being pushed out potentially another 12 months. Now, in Chris's defense, he did inject a lot of provided that the persistent tech testing goes well and the deadlines are met type of statements in his previous letter from the chairman, so he did technically cover his butt. That said, it's still a massive underestimation on how long it was going to take them to implement this new tech, especially when the original estimate was basically 7 more months. All that said, if you're a fan of Star Citizen, this delay is definitely—
I'll let you know, Minxie, listen, Minxie, when they get like farming in the game and agricultural shit and owning your own land in the game, I will let you know, Minxie, because Minxie's all about that. I know what games Minxie likes, and I'm telling you, Minxie, once they put that, when you can own the land and you can cultivate the land and you can grow goods on the land, yeah, right. Well, you'll love the mining. Like, I think you would love the mining in the game right now.
On the smaller side of things and doesn't even compare to the comically overshot release dates for the games. So I guess shame on me for getting my hopes up in this case, I suppose. Also, I should mention that the new Q4 2023 release date for 4.0 comes again with the same caveat that this is extremely complicated engineering work, which makes it incredibly difficult to predict development time. So it's entirely possible, and some might even say likely, that they will miss this release window as well. And of all of the updates and tech in Star Citizen, the 4.0 update is by—
Listen, Minxie, here's the thing. I got to get Minxie to play Star Citizen. Look at what you can like just look at the eye candy, right? Look at the eye candy here for you, Minxie. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's plenty of eye candy. The mining would probably be fun for you. And then eventually, if you get bored of it, play another game and then come back when farming gets instituted along with land ownership. I think you would absolutely love it.
Far the most impactful and exciting. It's not just bringing a new star system, but an entirely new back-end server system, potentially a massive player count increase, and countless other benefits. Seeing it get delayed, then delayed, delayed again, and then delayed again is hard to weather for any fan. But I am, of course, sticking around to weather it. The silver lining for 2023 is that other extremely cool features will still be launching before 4.0 and server meshing. Chris mentions the item resource system, which I think he's referring to the resource management system, basically a very in-depth system for how substations and systems on ships and outposts will function, requiring maintenance, repair, and even intentional disabling or tampering to benefit in combat situations. It's super cool stuff and a huge upgrade to multi-crew gameplay. Bounty hunting will get full tracking systems and the ability to restrain and transport bounties, which actually sounds awesome. They're adding persistent hangars with freight elevators, allowing you to call up stored inventory or place things into storage.
Good.
Personally, I think persistent hangars is a massively underhyped feature, as these hangars are intended to become basically your new hab units with customization options and potentially...
Dude, LevelCap is on it right there. He's absolutely right about that. He's absolutely right about that.
The ability to have a ton of your own ships parked and ready to go at a moment's notice. There's still a lot of unknowns, but it sounds cool and like a potentially big quality of life upgrade as well. Chris then states that toward the end of the year, which I'm going to assume means pre 4.0, that we're going to see some of the features that have been developed in Squadron 42 come over to the persistent universe, such as the improved player traversal that we saw at Citizen.
Lou brings up a really good point. He says then people will clump to high traffic areas. And you underestimate how lazy gamers are. Look at your dual universe where you can build anywhere. 99% of the population is centered around the same place, right? And the reason why they're all centered around the same place, Lou, is because of the trade hubs there in dual universe. And so trading has to be expansive. Profit has to be made in every system once the systems roll out, like Pyro. Like, you have to spread that out so that the player base also spreads out. That happens dynamically, but it also happens with good game design, good development from the developers, making sure that trade is doing what it's supposed to do, which is offer you a good ratio of supply and demand, right? Supply, demand, supply, demand, supply, demand. And apparently Quantum's supposed to do that for us, right? The AI, I keep hearing this. And that is another reason why I'm shaming Tony Z, because I need to hear more about it. Where is it at? I need more information on what's going on with Quanta. I need more information from Tony Z on what's happening, what the holdup is. I need it official. I have my suspicions, but I need it official from Tony Z, you know?
And Con, the improved interaction system, FPS scanning, the new star map, MFDs using the new building block UI, and much, much deeper combat AI. The brand new Gen 12 render engine is also expected to see many performance improvements and the addition of Vulkan API. And obviously all of this is huge and will massively improve the game in so many ways. The star map in particular is like the #1 most requested feature upgrade. So if we get that in 2023, that'll be pretty great for pretty much everyone. He also mentions that there's more features coming which aren't mentioned in the blog post, and we'll probably just have to wait for the February roadmap to get a better idea on the timeline for every single thing coming in 2023. Now, the community reaction is of course focused on the delay for Pyro in 4.0. Many are predicting Pyro in 2024, which honestly seems like a pretty safe bet at this point. I think what's interesting with Star Citizen, which is becoming more apparent in the recent years, and especially with 318 Wave 1, is that the added features and systems are bringing a ton of new gameplay opportunities that carry a lot of weight with them. So despite some of the biggest tech in the second Star system getting delayed yet again, there are still a lot of really meaningful upgrades that are going to flesh out gameplay loops. It seems like even if 2023 doesn't bring Pyro and server meshing, which of course I hope it does, that at least the other upgrades may really evolve the player experience in significant ways. Seeing that roadmap in February will be exciting, as it's going to give us a lot more details about specifically what's planned. Aside from the star map, my next biggest feature request is the new flight modes. Chris didn't mention it in the blog post, and I know it's a huge amount of work to port over from Squadron 42, as they basically need to add it to like over 100 ships individually, each with custom flight tuning, but I do really want this game to finalize its flight and combat design so that the player base can test it, refine it, and make it fantastic. Anyway, there's a ton of information here. Those are my kind of main takeaways from the blog post, but
the flight experience, man, it's taken a long time, and I'm glad that it is. A lot of people bitch about it, but I'm glad that this flight experience that's being designed for us is taking a long time. They're listening to the feedback, they're tailoring it, they're editing it. This whole new master mode that we're talking about, when you're switching modes with your ship, involving engineering of some sorts, they're slowing down the combat is what they're doing to give you like a dogfight kind of BSG experience. You know, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that it's more fun. It's less realistic. You know, it's kind of less realistic. I'm very curious about how they implement it. I think it'll be okay.
I'd be curious to hear what your takeaways are and what you want to see most in 2023 for Star Citizen, aside from the...
This is one of the most important things to this game, is feeling like the ship... See, right now, what I don't like about the flight experience in Star Citizen is that I don't feel the ships have any weight. Like, it's okay to say that in space, but in atmosphere, right? Like, I don't feel the ship's massive girth. That's what she said. Unfortunately, she said that, and then I went home crying.
Obvious 4.0 update. Let me know in the comments, and if you haven't seen my 3.18 coverage yet, check out this video here. It's honestly pretty cool stuff, and I think I did a decent job of summarizing the whole thing. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap signing off.
All right, that was a pretty decent video. I actually enjoyed that. So LevelCap got my seal of approval on that. Congratulations. Let's get back to the show.